What, man? I just can't. Every day, every week.
Every intro, every outro.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think everybody who watches this podcast knows exactly what we're talking about.
You have no proof.
And what happened? That's all.
Literally just sitting here.
So,
literally just
hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 15 of On the Back After. We talk about all things pageantry arts. And today we're going to talk about a few newsworthy topics that are going on and our first reaction video. We're going to go back in time and watch some of our favorite shows and shows that we think are kind of iconic and kind of do a live reaction. And some of you guys that are watching may not have seen some of these shows. So we'll probably try to put a link up that where you can watch along with us if you would like to see it with us full time. Real time as you're watching it. So, but as always, I'm joined with Mr. Zach, Mr. Chris, and Mr. William. Y'all have a good week, fellas?
Tired.
Only one more week till fall break.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'm gonna nap so hard.
This week before, like that's coming up before fall break for us is homecoming week, and I don't know.
Dress up day.
So we got dress up days, but where I work at it's the most insane. Like you would think that homecoming was like the president coming to your town. They shut down. We have a parade.
Well, you're in a one school county too.
Yes. Let me tell you,
it's a smaller area.
I'm so tired after those weeks.
Listen, we had homecoming last week, so and I had to take over the reins for a few days. So yeah, it ain't no tired like homecoming week tired. And we hosted a band contest the next day.
Yeah,
I was there.
So you were there.
You were at both of our shows.
I was, yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of that,
ain't nothing like a double hitter.
Announcement, real quick.
Oh,
I made a vlog of yesterday.
Hey.
So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I scared Zach.
I was so confused.
Yeah, but that will be coming out sometime soon. I just gotta put everything together. But just the life of doing a doubleheader contest as a director, and I have fun with it. And
did you get any video from the best hospitality room in South Central Kentucky?
I don't know. You guys are up there, but I mean,
we are in contention for the Golden Crock Pot.
Shout out to Grayson County if anyone lives in Kentucky. That is the hospitality room to go to.
It's basically Ryan's.
I mean, it is what it is. You can ask for something so random, like, yeah, we got it. You're like, what? We're like, sometimes
you have prime rib.
Yeah, probably somewhere in there. Or they'll be like, we'll go get it for you. And then
who made the baked Alaska? Like
back there with filet mignon and all kinds of stuff.
Back there, got somebody flambeing some stuff.
Yeah. Scallops and oysters.
On the next episode of On the Back Burner, we have the hospitality room tour of Kentucky.
Are you going to Grayson County, Sid? Are you guys going there?
Yeah, we'll be at Grayson.
Are you going?
But
no.
But we won't see you guys there because they're splitting it up.
That's right.
They're doing small band. They're doing small class.
I forgot about that. Well, you need to just hang out in the hospitality room for like 6 hours, and I'll come see you. And we'll do a quick review.
I'll see. I just catch a ride back with y'all.
Let's go ahead.
All right. We can talk about KMA all day, but I'm not going to do that. All right, so let's talk about these staff changes. As you know, DCI, they don't mess around too much about their staff, and I feel like it was maybe even a week out after finals, people were already announcing staff changes. So we're going to talk about those and maybe some of the impact that could come from that. So, Chris, man, I'm gonna let you take over.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do a rundown of the things. All these things come from all their official websites, so these are not any rumors. But also, shout out to I think it's General Effect Media. I think that's what it's called. GEM. I think that's what it is. But they do a lot of the announcements. They do a lot of good newsworthy stuff. And so that's where I kind of started the first things. Then I went to their official websites to make sure it was all like legit and stuff like that. So shout out to them on Twitter. If you don't follow them, make sure you do. They do a lot of BOA stuff as well. So if you just kind of want to know what's going on, those regionals and all that stuff that's been going on, follow them. They're awesome. Anyway, so I'm going to start with the Blue Knights. The Blue Knights is the one group that we saw this year that really they needed to change. They needed it to happen. They kind of fell off from where they were before. So they brought in some people that are familiar to the program. You have, and if I butcher these names, I apologize. I'm just going to tell you ahead of time. Just be ready for that. But
Wow.
I'm just going to let you know. Jeff Ostermore, he returns as the percussion arranger for Blue Knights. He was with them from 2006 to 2010, so kind of early on there. But Blue Knights, that's kind of, 2010 is when you start seeing them take that big push towards like some of our favorite shows. I think we could agree with that there. So he comes in at percussion arranger. Jed Weeks, he returns as program coordinator. So that's a big change there. He was with Blue Knights from 2010 to 2018. So that right there, I think, is like the sweet spot of when Blue Knights were like what we thought of Blue Knights for me personally. And it's some of Zach's favorite shows. We'll probably be watching those, reacting those sometime there. But
That's right.
He comes in, and then you have Pyro Lugo Allen, who's the new artistic director for Blue Knights. They're with the Cavaliers for 16 years and doing choreography for them. So that's a big change there. So maybe we're going to see some harken back to some Blue Knights in the past. So that's it for the Blue Knights. You guys got anything about that one to talk about?
The percussion change is pretty interesting. I think the guys that they had on there this past season, I don't think they were there too long. This might have been the only season, maybe 2 seasons they got out of them. But so for them to go back, I mean, you go back to what works, I guess. And then with the program director, because this year's show just didn't seem like them. So
it's like it wanted it to be like the past, but they didn't know how to do it like they did in the past, and that's I think you saw that with that.
There was just really like, just off the top of my head, I really think about there were only 2 moments that really felt like and sounded like them. So
I think it's a fine line of trying to become something new and still holding on to your traditions or whatever.
Yeah, but they were avant-garde enough to where they didn't have to really do anything new because they did stuff different and new anyway, and it worked for them. I just think, they had that top, they had top six design. I thought it's just the content wasn't there enough to get them where everybody else was. So I think they took a step back. But this staff change can help.
All right, next, Mandarins. They have some changes. They bring in James Gal and Zach Stillwell as visual caption heads for the program. Gal was with Blue Knights from 2018 to 2022, so there is a departure from the Blue Knights to go to Mandarins. At the moment, I did not see anything as far as who was taking that spot for the Blue Knights. Stillwell was with Blue Knights in 2019. And then was the drill designer for Pacific Crest last year. So they are coming in and have a new visual thing, which would be kind of interesting to me, see how that kind of works there. Then you have Vince Oliver coming in as the new brass arranger for the Mandarins. He was the music designer for the Blue Coats from 2014 to 2018. So that could be a good step in the right direction for the Mandarins. I think them, and I think we said the Blue Stars, the one thing we want to see from them is the content to go up. And it looks like Mandarins are trying to do that musically with getting a new arranger that's kind of been around, had his fingers all in the Blue Coats music arranging for a little bit.
Yeah, that could be real interesting.
Yeah.
With how Blue Coats do things as far as electronics and things of that nature. I wonder how much of that we're going to start to see in the Mandarins now.
Sounds like they're really investing on making a jump, like trying to elevate themselves. Now that they've got themselves established in the finals conversation, they're trying to reach for that like 6, 7, 8 spot now, I guess. Or maybe top 5. Who knows? I mean, isn't that the goal for everybody?
It is the goal for everybody.
Basically.
But
Yes.
well, we'll talk about some other staff changes.
I am waiting on that one. Don't worry, that's the last one we're talking about. We'll move on to Blue Stars. So we have 2 changes as far as right now. Is Tony Nunez and Matthew Hernandez are the new percussion arrangers for the Blue Stars. Nunez has worked with a lot of different corps. That I didn't want to write down all of them, but he's been around a whole lot. And then Hernandez worked with the Blue Stars since 2013, has been promoted up to arranger for the Blue Stars. So as far as I know right now, that's the only changes. And I did this last week before we recorded, so there might be some more additions to there, but those are the 2 ones that Blue Stars have so far. So be interesting for that. Next one is SCV, so Vanguard. Theirs is kind of more of the logistics side of things here. So Gio Bastante, there we go. Sorry. So I struggle with those. Is the new corps director. That's a promotion up there. She was previously the corps manager for Vanguard, and she was a percussionist with Boston and Strike Percussion and Affinity Percussion. So if you know anything about Vanguard, percussion's kind of king out there. So that's where we kind of see that going there. The person that I'm going to assume is kind of filling the spot that she is left vacant is Rebecca Compton Allen. They're the new director of project management. Was the corps director in 2022. So I'm guessing, I don't know, they're just kind of flipping spots or how they're kind of doing that stuff there. I'm not entirely sure. But she, before that, worked with Shadow Drum and Bugle Corps. So Vanguard doing some logisticals kind of stuff change, and we'll get to them a little bit later on, talk about what's going on there. Blue Coats, you have Kevin LaBeouf that's joining as the brass caption head. Was with Caddy from 2018 to 2022, and was a brass staff member for Crown before joining with the Caddies. And then you have Derek Gibson, who was promoted to the brass captain supervisor. So that's the spot that Kevin took. And he's been with the Blue Coats for 12 years. So looks like they're trying to keep that what they're known for intact there.
That sounds like and I don't know, but it sounds like we don't know how much longer Dave's going to do it. So let's get somebody in there, get them trained up. Because that arranger is one of the reasons why Blue Coats has the sound that they have. It's because of how he does stuff. And I'm a big fan of his. And so, like, when another corps lost their main arranger for a while, I might get a little nervous when he decides to step down, but we'll see.
Next one, we have Crown.
Yeah.
As of right now, this is the one that I think, before the one we're going to get to next, this is probably the biggest one I think is interesting to me, is that they have Kevin Shaw and Mike Jacks joining as percussion arrangers. So Kevin was the sound designer for Blue Coats from 2010 to 2013, and front ensemble arranger and music coordinator for Blue Knights from 2014 to 2019. Mike was percussion designer for Santa Clara, Blue Coats, and Blue Knights, and he was inducted into the WGI Hall of Fame in 2019. So it looks like what we've all been saying about Crown was holding them back. It looks like they're trying to make that push finally with these changes.
That book's about to sound real different.
That was the first thing I said.
That book's about to sound
real
real different. Which could be a good thing, because, I think that was around the time the Blue Knights perk was starting to do a lot of, like, kind of more esoteric, space-oriented type of drumming, lots of syncopated, rhythms, because Hornline was doing it. So that type of stuff could mix can mix well with a Crown horn book.
I feel like Crown is a tough place to arrange percussion for because, we all know that their focus is on brass, so I don't know. I don't
It's
know
like the
anything about writing
opposite
percussion
of
either.
the
So
opposite of Boston. Like Boston has all those percussion notes. Where do you fit the brass in? Crown brass got all them notes. Where do you fit the percussion in? That kind of thing. But
yeah, I don't know. That could get real interesting.
I'm excited. I'm glad that
I think they'll figure it out. They will. It'll look different.
it's not like their percussion has ever been like terrible. You know what I mean? Like it's just when you're trying to
when you're talking about like your horn lines popping
Exactly,
out,
yeah.
perfect scores
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It becomes different. You're trying to close that gap.
All right, now here we go. Y'all ready? Buckle your seatbelts. Because Cabby's literally opened the door, took the broomstick, and was like, and sweep. And so we have a lot of changes happening in the Cabbies. I'm saving the last one. Some of you guys might already know it, but I'm going to save it because it's the big one.
Yeah, if you're watching this and you're a DCI fan, you already know.
Let's go down the line. They've had the most changes by far of the finalist cores. There might have been some other ones that have made a lot of changes. They just have not made any official announcements as at the moment that we were doing this. But Jeremy Hunt is now the Caddy's visual designer. Has written drill for Phantom, Spirit, and the Colts. So y'all know him. So you want to kind of talk about what you know and all that good stuff?
So I had Jeremy Hunt also in indoor and at Madison Scouts. So Jeremy Hunt is a well-known face and name, great guy. It's really going to be interesting what happens now. Now he's with Cavies, and they just as crazy as he is. Yeah, it's going to be fun. He's
a very, very creative mind. The way he thinks about stuff, he keeps up with the times. So, like, I think that's a fantastic move from him. Like, I'm excited.
All right, next one we have John Leonard is coming in as the color guard caption supervisor. Marks Cabbies and has worked with Phantom, Vanguard, and Crossman. So you have the color guard there, as well as Markel Allen is color guard designer and choreographer. They marched with Crown and Boston. They've worked previously with the Legends Drum and Bugle Corps and has been a teacher at Pride Events Cincinnati. So it looks like they're making a change on that end as well. Also, you have Angie Mayhew. They taught and choreographed with Boston in 2019 and worked with Pride Cincinnati's Winter Guard, March Crown, and Boston. So looks like that's tapping into that East Coast area for that there. Then you have David Starnes is joining as the program director. So that's a big change there. Was the design advisor for Crown from 2013 and 2018 and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So that's a pretty big change there. And then should we get some like angels music and like light climbing down? It's like the legend has returned.
I don't have
Yeah,
don't have a button for that.
I need something. But Richard Saucedo is back with the Cabbies. If you don't know, I need you just to go back and listen to all the Cabbie shows, early 2000s. I mean, that was Cabbies, right? And so, if you don't know, he's returning as the Brass Ranger and a caption consultant with the brass. He actually advised Crown, was like kind of in there with Crown from 2013 to 2018. And of course, like I said, he was with the Cabbies from 2000 to 2008.
He's been with the Blue Stars.
Yeah,
recently
Blue Stars,
also.
and he was the music ensemble coordinator for BD this past year. So, Hall of Famer, right? Like, I mean, one of the ones. If you love the Cabbies, you know that name, and if you know DCI, you know that name.
I had the privilege of being in his band for either honor band or all district band one year. That was cool.
Yeah. So I think cabbies look like they're ready. I think they got a lot of people they were on the right track. I think you're starting to see some good stuff, but it wasn't the pace that people wanted, I don't think, and that's why I think you're getting this huge change. And then bringing Salcedo back is, I mean, yeah,
It's like a no-brainer.
So,
yeah. Well, I mean, this is my excited face, but like, like, I am like when I saw that he was coming back, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know if they're going to go back to doing original stuff again, like they were doing in the early 2000s or anything like that. But like this, Salcedo has some very iconic harmonic structures and melodies that he used, and if he just brings some of that back as well, I mean that's going to be super strong. And then David Starnes getting in on that as well. If you don't know who David Starnes is, you need to look him up. He did a lot of work at Kennesaw Mountain down in Georgia. I've had the privilege of having him judge my group a few times, and I think one of my crowning achievements, being a director, was having a critique with him and him telling me like, your group was one of the few groups that hit all three aspects of general effect. I'm just like, all right, I can retire. I'm good. Like, never thought I would hear those words, especially coming out of his mouth. But just a brilliant mind, knows how things operate. He has the ability to pull stuff out of kids. He also did one of our all district bands one year, our honors band, and his big, one of the big things that our kids took away with was, what color do you see when you hear this piece, and that just kind of reshapes how you think about things a whole lot. So, man, that's a lot of changes. I mean, with the color guard bringing all these people in from Pride and Boston who have proven to be wonderful guards,
and Crown,
they are poised to make a move. And if we were doing a way too early prediction for 2023, I would almost say they're going to finish top 5. Just off the staff.
I think they're making that push. I think they were sick and tired of being down there in that area of, I mean, the thing is though, like being where they were in this past year has been, that is nothing to shake at. I mean, I feel like, we talked about that many times, but overall, the overarching trend the last few years is just kind of like, wading the water kind of stuff. Like it's good, and they had some good shows, but it's never been anything that's really going to get them where they need to be. And it looks like they're trying to do some fusion of the old school cabbies with the new school look of what everyone's doing. So it's going to be interesting to see what that's going to look like. I'm excited about it. Some of my favorite shows of all time are the cabbies from that time period. We just had Nathaniel on last episode. I mean, just think about like when he, was listening, and that's Salcedo right there. Just all those great shows that you have there. So,
sure, yeah,
it'd be nice to be a fly on the wall for their design. I mean,
I've said that for anybody's.
For really, and truly for anybody.
Yeah,
like anybody, like top 6 or 8. Like I just like, can I just sit in and just watch how you come up with the things?
Because I'm wondering how if all of this, because I kind of think of it like when we were talking about like coach changes and stuff for like NBA players and NFL players and stuff. It's like, will the audition process change now? Like are they going to be looking even harder for the best that they can possibly get? You know what I mean? Or are they going to still kind of float with what they have and then call it like a building up year? Like get these guys in, get a year in, let their feet get wet, and then see what the year does, and then build upon that? Or are they just going to go hardcore slam in it? You know what I'm trying to get at?
If it was everyone but Salcedo, I would say they're going to wait. They would wait a year to see how it's going to go. But when you bring him back, I feel like you're trying to, like, yeah.
That's why I was saying that. I was wondering. I was like, it makes me wonder what the audition process will be like now.
Well,
you got all these cats coming in.
When we think about Madison, when they started allowing females into the Corps, we've been saying for years that something needed to change with Madison because they were trying to appease the alumni and do these kind of old school shows, but they were getting hammered for them, so they try to get something current, and so they was fighting this battle of trying to figure out what their identity was and how you got to evolve with the times, because if you don't, you get left behind. But it's I don't know, and I'm wondering if they're feeling that same way at Cavies. Is like we're the way we're doing it, we're falling, we keep falling further and further behind. And if we don't change something.
Yeah, because I think we've had this talk kind of on some of these podcasts. Is I mean, hell, look at it. Cavies was top 3. That's a hard. Top 5 is hard enough, but top 3, you're talking about a group that you had to beat to win. That was Cavies. And when you taste something like that for so long as they did, and they got their titles and stuff. And then now you're at the position where they are. That's why I was like, man, that's why I really want to be a tiny fly on the wall for all of this. So like audition process, for the creative design process. Because you're bringing in some heavies, man. Kevin's, when I seen it too,
I
said, God,
we're all messing each other like, what is going on, right? Like we're all freaking out. Like, here it goes,
right?
Yeah. And I think it's also like we talk about pleasing alumni. I think that bringing him back also plays into that too.
I think of the age group. Think of the bulk of your alumni
possible,
group now is from that period. You know what I mean? Like, you know. It's definitely a good move, but also a cool strategic move in the same. You know what I mean? Like,
The cool thing about Salcedo is he will evolve. He will have evolved with the times too. So like I'm not going to completely expect early 2000 Cavaliers, but he's gonna put his spin on it. For sure, and make you remember, you're going to remember who the Cavies are. Yeah. We're going to sound like a Cavalier drum corps.
I'm just saying, I am totally down for an original show. I'm just throwing that out.
Hey, I'm here for it.
Because I feel like that's also part of evolving. It's like we're gonna continue to recycle everybody's songs in pop music and other shows or whatever. Or is somebody going to be brave enough to take a stab at something nobody's heard?
Yeah. If people will do original parts of shows, Phantom, was it Phantom? No, Madison Scouts. Madison Scouts opener. That was original. But should do a whole show.
I think you're talking about, I don't want to get too far off tangent-wise, but I think a corps that does a good job of arranging music, but it's fresh as Blue Coats. Like they always find someone. They always find the independent. You know what I mean? Like someone never heard of, and then you hear it, it's like, oh my gosh. Yes,
very
I think
niche.
they do a good job, even though it's not original.
Artists.
It feels original because you're not hearing that played in a lot of different areas.
The reason why you like Blue Coats is because they don't sound like everybody else. They're not playing the same music as everybody else. And if they do play something like everybody else, like Session 44, God Rest the Child, they did it, but they did it their way. And that's one thing that they're really, really good at. Blue Devils does it too. Their rendition of Moon River this year was just phenomenal. Very, very beautiful. But they did it the Blue Devils way. These corps that have an identity are not afraid to keep their identity. Play stuff that you may have heard before, but do it the way that they want to do it. I can appreciate that for sure. So, and as we get more staff changes, we'll talk about those too. But those are the ones that we know of that are official. So we'll continue to bounce around with that as we go through. We also had some news regarding the Vanguard Cadets. So, what's going on with them, Chris?
Thursday, I believe, is when they put out a statement. I'm just going to read the statement because I don't want to like chop up what they're saying or anything like that and get the wrong kind of connotation there. But I did share this on our Facebook page. So if you're on Facebook, you can see that's where they posted it there. But it says, this is from Vanguard's page. It says, after much consideration and internal discussion amongst executive leadership, program leadership, and the board of directors, Vanguard Music and Performing Arts is placing the Vanguard Cadets on hiatus. While the summer of 2022 was an historic and successful season for the Vanguard Cadets, it was also the most expensive year to run a drum corps in the history of the activity. Like many other organizations, VMAPA experienced dramatically increased operational costs due to skyrocketing gas prices, nationwide vehicle and equipment shortages, decreased accessibility of affordable housing, COVID-related PPE, and more. These factors, in combination with the current economic climate in the United States, have unfortunately created a financial burden too great for the VMAPA to shoulder while running not one, but two incredibly high-performing drum corps. Quote, this is not a decision we have arrived at lightly, end quote, said Jeremy C. Van Wert, executive director of VMAPA. Quote, we could never have anticipated the astronomical costs associated with the 2022 season. Everything from the basic food staples to the buses that transport our members was twice to three times as expensive this year. We did our jobs to provide a world-class experience to the members of the Vanguard Cadets this summer, and we are incredibly proud of what they accomplished. Now that we have had time to reflect and take a close look at our financial situation, it is clear that we must place the Vanguard Cadets on a hiatus to protect the future of VMAPA. The Vanguard Cadets have achieved incredible things and has taken diligent work to produce this excellent performer experience. A scale back and drastically reduced experience would not have been consistent with the work to build the Vanguard Cadets brand, end quote. As the future of the program, Mr. Van Wert said, quote, it is our hope that economic conditions will improve and it will be possible for the Vanguard Cadets to return to the field in the near future. However, as we learned this year, we cannot predict what comes next in today's world. Our plan is to continue to do everything we can to bring in more funding and to revisit the future of the Vanguard Cadets program at the end of the 2023 season, end quote. So there's the official thing. So Vanguard Cadets, which is probably one of the most, prestigious, open class corps now are put on hold. So very interesting there. Yep.
It's a lot of up and down with that.
Yes.
From a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people are very split on how they feel about that. Zach, were you getting ready to say something, or are you processing?
I was thinking, if I'm somebody who works with gold right now, while you hate to see Vanguard Cadets be put on a pause, you have to feel pretty good about the shape of your corps for next season after the season they had this year, because they're in California as well, right? So you got to think, okay, where are all these people from the West Coast who planned on coming to Vanguard Cadets? Where are they going to try and go? So the only other option I feel like right now would be BDB and gold. So,
well, you got more.
Yeah, there's a lot over there.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking of like the big name from this past season, open class groups. The top three were those three.
Well, you almost got to put those kids even in the world class.
Go ahead, Will. Sorry.
Yeah, because I was just going to say you're talking about these open class, and that Vanguard show was phenomenal, and they are contesting some of the world class groups, and now that they have won open, you're going to have a lot of these kids possibly look into these world class groups, and now Pacific Crest is on the verge of trying to come out. So you got Oregon right above you. So there's even if you don't pursue the West Coast, you still got Denver on over there, so you can go shoot out the Blue Knights.
The Colts.
And it's
Colts.
a
Not
lot
Colts.
of groups. The Colts. There's a lot of groups.
Yeah, no.
Colts
Troopers.
are
Yeah,
in
sorry.
Iowa.
You're
Troopers.
talking about Troopers.
Crusaders.
Yeah,
Seattle's,
Oregon Crusaders.
Seattle's coming back.
Yes, yeah. So
Uh,
they basically just handed a lot of
So
groups.
that's
a
what I
lot
was
of
going to say is
talent.
that, there are a lot of people, like I said, I am about to, I do not have experience with running a corps. I do not have anything like that. But the only reason why Vanguard Cadets are not a world-class corps is because they already have a world-class corps. Like, they still run the organization at a world-class level. Like, that's, and, that's the thing. And, that's why a lot of them go there, because you still get that world-class experience, because you're still, you're traveling a lot of places, and, you're still getting to do the things, that, your world-class corps is doing. And I mean, we saw, we were talking about that. We saw world-class corps that were struggling with this season. And I mean, if you just go on Twitter, I'm not gonna throw any, people under the bus, but I mean, there's a lot of corps that, were struggling with just providing food and travel and I mean, I'll make this one because they made it official, but Jersey Surface, they didn't know they're going to be able to finish their season because they didn't have a chance to, they're talking about the cost that was costing just to get stuff there. So, I mean, in my opinion, I feel like it's very unfortunate that this is happening, and I'm sad that they're gone, because that's, that is a corps that people could march, and get that experience that they want. But if that means that they can pause for a year, retailer, and come back and be strong and make sure that doesn't, they can make it and keep it going, that's much more of what should happen. Not, let's bull through a season, and then now you're affecting your world-class corps too, because that's another thing you got to think about, is like, not only you have the Vanguard Cadets, but you have Vanguard, and you got to make sure that can up and run as well. So I mean, it's tough, but man, decisions like this are the ones that people never want to make. And
I'm gonna assume SCV, obviously, they got their own staff and stuff like that, but I think they have their own fundings, and even though they have shared names, it's kind of like indoor, like Infinity Percussion has like 3 groups, but like they all have no group affects
Vanguard's
the other
under
one. If I'm not mistaken,
umbrella that
It's a parent organization.
the Vanguard, Music and Performing Arts, that's the umbrella that they're both underneath. But yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like a few years ago, Blue Devils B and Santa Clara Vanguard Cadets didn't come out because of cost. Like, I think, pretty sure there was a year they didn't come out, not too long ago. I don't want to say it's a fear, but don't be surprised that if this lasts for more than 1 year, that you don't see them again. And the reason why I say that is because with them having VMAPA, and then Blue Devils has their own entertainment distribution too. They got other things they can be doing where kids could be a part of that program and still get that education, or still have those opportunities to do stuff without having to trek a corps across the country every summer. Because, like Chris alluded to, they run their open class group like it's a world class group. So that financial burden is not going to go away.
Because if anything, inflation is a mug. And I've heard of a lot of other organizations and stuff that's even non-musical or having to deal with the marching arts.
California's
talk
one of the
about
most
how much
expensive
they
states as well.
struggling.
So, I mean, you got to think about if their operations are happening there.
Not happening.
And to start the season off, that's a lot of their contests are there, and the busing and all that stuff, and your food. I mean, it's expensive there. So
it's not a joke. Like some's got to change within
but
the United States.
yeah, but keep your ear on that, because like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if we didn't hear the same thing later on about Blue
and I'm
Devils
really
being-
worried about. I mean, this is all speculation. Just branching out this, like some of your lower tier world class corps, like that we talk about that were struggling. Are they going to be able to feel this, or are they going to do what a lot of people are asking the Vanguard Cadets to do, is have an abbreviated, shortened season? Yeah,
you might see
just do
some of
their
that.
region.
so then that
Yeah.
goes into the play of,
You might see some of
okay,
that.
do you
Make the
do
only
you do your
show-
normal? This is just I'm just throwing this out here, but like, then does DCI look at, okay, do we need to start doing less country tour events and more regional tour events, like folks, you know what I mean? Like, I know we do that at the beginning, but like all throughout, do we make it where
I don't think DCI has to
They won't
like take
they
away
won't,
shows.
No, they won't. Well, I won't say they won't take away shows, but I don't think they'll want to keep it regional, because they want to see Blue Devils
yeah,
going
no,
against
I
current.
agree 100%.
Like,
But what I'm
they
worried
want
about is
that.
that what if you do have a group is just like, we can't, they usually say where they're supposed to be. Then once, San Antonio's like the big one, and then we start seeing them kind of travel all throughout. But like, does it change where now you have like, we're not going to be able to do San Antonio. We're just going to have to wait till, Indianapolis or, something like that before we start making our way out that way,
Yeah, you might start seeing, reduced groups at certain shows, or you're either going to see, because DCI is not going to change anything until it starts hurting their pocketbook.
Right.
And they just came off the most successful
So,
season they've
that's
had
what I was
probably in a
getting.
very long time.
What's probably. So like, in order for something like that to happen, you're going to have to see corps do kind of like what Vanguard Cadets is doing, is taking hiatus. Like, we're only going to come out every other year. We're going to take a year, fundraise, and do all this other stuff, and then we're going to take the next year and actually fill the corps and travel. Or you may see, like what some of the California groups, open, especially the open class groups, where they just do the California tour and that's it. Like, we're going to do this, but we're not going to go to Chance. They're going to find a way to reduce their tour stuff first, to reduce their initial costs. And then if DCI starts to lose money because corps aren't going to the regionals, are not coming to Worlds, then you're probably going to see an altered format to where you could possibly see just weekend shows. You might just get shows on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, I'm not saying this is nobody has said anything. This is me just speculating. But like, first things first, DCI is a business. It's a business. So they can't, it's a nonprofit, but they got to have money to run all of this stuff.
I think that's another thing too, like that a lot of people that are upset, and like I said, it's understandably so. Like, they could probably do it. They could probably do a core, but then who's the cost pass off to? It's going to be the ones that are performing, and we've already heard people talk about the expense that it is already to march in a core, and a lot of people were upset about that. It's the astronomical price of marching for 3 months, and now that's what happens, and that's a whole nother story. We can get all that kind of stuff, whatever. But like, I mean, if you want them to run a show, then it's going to be like, all right, well, we're going to have to pay for it somehow, and then you're getting close to where now these open corps are probably getting closer to, or even up to like the cost of running a world class corps, like as far as like participation and stuff. Like that's one thing a lot of people don't realize too, is that the money's got to come from somewhere. And if it's not coming from donations and fundraising, it's coming from the people that are on the field. So like, I mean, no.
And theoretically, that ain't enough.
No.
So
No.
So
It's not. And I think I mean, and this can spin into a completely different conversation. But like, I think that's where we're almost getting into trouble now because of
Yes.
all of the extra stuff, the big props, the changing of uniforms every year. You know, these staff members, they got to get paid. You know, he might be, and if he is, he's one of the best people on the planet. But I don't think Richard Saucedo's
Probably not.
doing this for
Probably
free. Could be wrong. You know, if he is, God bless him. But like, you paying all these high quality staff members and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like you said, that money's got to come from somewhere.
Mhm.
And you know, I'm not familiar enough with how DCI splits off the profits and all of that good stuff from contests and things of that nature. But like, there's going to be some things that's going to have to be considered moving forward, because all it's going to take is for, you know, a well-known corps, what you would consider a well-established corps, to come out and say, we're going to take the year off so we can make sure our funds are ready next year. Cadets might have started that with this announcement, but like, if you get somebody like Crossman saying it, or Colts, or Troopers, or somebody like that, if it starts affecting those type of groups, then some conversations are going to have to be had.
I guarantee you everybody's looking in their funds and their pockets.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy.
Oh yeah.
It's probably not just. It's definitely just not. You know, CVCs. They. It's a mug, man. And I've noticed. I don't know about y'all, but on our side, on the west side, our gas has not gone down. And I've seen that in the south and some on towards y'all's end, but our side, we ain't lost a penny. I'm like, this is some B, whatever you want to call it, but but that's a factor too. And even if they do a West Coast tour, hell, they still got to deal with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like God,
because the West Coast is large.
Boy.
It's a big coast.
I done found a whole section that I didn't even know hosted a show out here. It's like, what? So,
yes, it is.
Hot topic, man. Hot topic.
It's a lot of stuff to think about. I mean, and that's one thing that people don't understand when they criticize organizations, or you know, like DCR specific corps, or even like high school marching bands. It's like there's a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts. You know, and in a drum corps, you got all of these people that are made there. You know, they got so many people on staff. I mean, we talked about the changes at SCV. While they weren't design changes, they were, you know, infrastructure changes, to where, you know, because somebody's got to do all of the paperwork. Somebody's got to make sure, got to make the schedule. Somebody's got to book the hotel room. Somebody got to, you know, schedule the food and get all that stuff ordered. Yep. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And like, yes, a lot of people volunteer their time, but anybody with quality, they're going to ask for
something that, like,
compensation.
You know, it's nowhere to the scale of an organization like this, but like just running your local high school band program, like, I mean, like, you know, we have conversations with, you know, parents all the time. It was like, man, look at all that stuff. How much? And we're like, yeah, it costs like this much. And like, you know, I brought up the person I teach beside. She's our high school dance dance coach, whatever. And you know, she's talking about like her budget is like for the year is like our prop budget for the marching season. Like, you know, it's just, you know, and we're not doing anything like outrageous. You know what I mean? We have 3 big backdrops and some front drops, and that's it. And we almost tapped out of our entire prop budget. And it's just like, it costs money. And then like Seth was saying, you know, you got them coming out here with like, you know, Keller and Crown having like, you know, 3 million different things out there, you know, and you know, Blue Coats having the big old, you know, props there, and it's expensive, man. And like, if you're not in it all the time, you know, it's hard to realize, like, you know, making sure it happens. And like I said, we just do it on the high school level. Like, I couldn't imagine trying to run a corps to making sure not only are you,
some of these BOA groups, look at the money they're spending. I mean, granted, they had like
And the
400
core, it's
kids
not
in their
even just about
ensemble,
like
but
just the product. It's also the other side of the core is okay. Now we gotta make sure we're feeding everyone every single day, 3 meals a day. You know, like yeah, and the staff, and
3
then you got
meals
to
a
make
day
sure that you
plus
have a place to
snacks.
stay. You know, you might get lucky. I don't know. Like there might be some schools that might want some, something in return. But I mean, you're trying to pinch pennies everywhere you possibly can to make sure that you can get there. And and it's hard, man. I don't. I'm glad I'm not in the seat that they are in, trying to make a decision like that, because it's tough to do those things.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough.
We joked around. I know we joked around when I think it was Phantom said they was looking for a new core director. It was a core director, or program director.
Yeah.
He was like, "Man, we should do that," but no.
Right.
Like I got enough gray hair from teaching
Well, I
middle
lose
school.
my hair.
Man.
That's why we're
That's
That's
stress.
why. 'Cause-
What you said?
That stress, man. So like before you just go off on the hinges on what these cores are going through, man. Like step in their shoes for a minute, because like those are some big decisions.
Yeah, they didn't want to.
That they gotta make. They gotta deal with, because
you got a lot of you got a lot of these people who can only see, well, what about the kids? Think about the kids. And I was like, if they weren't thinking about the kids, this could have been worse.
That part, because let them think about, all right, because get them out on tour, and then that bus
and then
breaks
some
down.
Go down. It's a wrap.
Or the food. Then you're gonna be fussing. Well, they were unprepared. They shouldn't have went out. Yeah. So they prevented the problem. They didn't wait for the problem to happen.
Number one thing,
they prevented it from happening. So
even
habit number one, be proactive.
Yeah. Even if you downgrade, even if you do just the West Coast tour, even if you do, there's going to be something. It doesn't matter. Even if you're like, okay, we're only going to do 4 shows the whole season, you still have to come up with money for the other stuff. And then now you're putting pressure on the staff, because what you going to do for 2.5 months, only for going to 4 shows straight? Are you going to let the kids go home? Like, is it only going to be a weekend thing? There's a lot of moving parts.
Just have them carpool, and I'm like, what are you? I'm sorry, I don't want to get in. I'm like, what are you thinking, man? Like, you think that's one? Do you think that's fair to the
they're like
people that they're probably paying an exorbitant amount of money, like, hey, by the way, I want to need you to drive everywhere. I'm like, this ain't indoor. This ain't like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like we're like that's the thing, is like because the flip side of things, talk about WGI. There's more circuits in winter seasons than there are for cores. I need people to understand that. Please. Like,
hey, there are some states that have like 2 or 3 circuits in their state.
In the state,
we got 2 circuits. We got 2 circuits in our state.
Doing, bro? Like, come on, man. You gotta think about those things. Like,
I've already found 2 here.
Man. I'm telling you, like,
that just.
They don't,
like I said, just some people like to have an opinion just to have an opinion, and it's fine for you to have an opinion.
Okay.
But please know that it might not be well founded, or
here we go. You ready?
dare I say, even correct.
I tell my kids all the time, because I am a history teacher, right? I tell my kids all the time, it is okay, because we have to have this talk all the time in these classes. It is okay to have an opinion. It's totally okay. But your opinion can be wrong because you don't have the evidence to support that statement.
That's
like, and that's one thing that some people think. I'm gonna stop, because if I do that, I'm gonna get on this tangent. And we're gonna be not on the back cast that we were talking about earlier. He's gonna get into something different. But I mean, it's just think first, man. Like, I know some people are trying to come up with solutions. Like, they're like, oh, here's 5 right here. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great, but then you didn't think about the back end of things. Like, okay, so, core's got to be insured, right? If you have them all driving a car and they get a wreck, who's paying for that? Or let's say that, you have instruments on something and they get stolen. All right, who's fitting the bill for that? or are you giving them per diem when they get there, or are you making them pay all the, like, there's just things that you got to think about when you run stuff, man. I don't know.
Yeah, these corps are dealing with probably anywhere from over summer from 200 to 300 people, and they all have to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And you think how much it takes for you to live your life for 2.5 months.
I have 2 kids.
And then multiply that times
and I'm like,
200.
good God, the amount of money we go through. I couldn't imagine having 300. Like, I mean, it's crazy.
So
it's no joke. It's no joke. I'm telling you. Even Tarpon Springs, if I'm not mistaken, Tarpon Springs flip flops between WGI and BOA. I think it's because it's a financial thing for them. They might do BOA like a regional just to do it, but then they won't go to Grand National.
That's being smart with what you're doing. You're like,
yeah, and that's totally
this
fine.
is the process we're going to do. We're going to do WGI this year. We're going to do BOA this year, because if we try to do both, we're not going to be able to do any of them.
Because you gotta think they got a world class guard that has won medals. So going back and forth between that and telling them, hey, we just blah blah this one this year, and that's big. But the kids get it. You know what I'm saying? That's a well established school. So it's rough, man. You got to pick and choose your battles.
Yeah. So, well, I knew.
That's what I say.
That's
what we should do.
Bro.
Yeah, I got it.
This in an hour.
We'll cut it here.
We can do it,
and then we'll have a special episode this week where we actually react to what we're going to do. Yes.
That's what I was thinking. Or maybe even just make that a special thing anyway. Just on the back.
You know how we like to talk.
Just make a spin off of it.
Little do y'all know, me and William already solved that problem and made that decision for you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
what y'all been talking behind our back?
That's cool.
Y'all check the check.
Behind your back on the
I possibly can for this podcast.
Oh my God. No.
Listen, I think we're gonna.
I was in the combo. What you mean? I was in it. I was multitasking.
I thought it, but I can't talk and type at the same time.
So I did it too many times.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, you would hear all the typing in the brain. So, so just overall some good discussion. But these, I'm interested to see what DCI is kind of like NFL, man. Yep. They're trying to make you pay attention to it all year long.
Yes, they are.
They really are, and by announcing auditions and staff changes like right after the season,
just like pro sport.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna
NBA been over with, and they can't get off of LeBron now. It's like, oh my God, Kevin Durant, oh my God, I don't know where he like, oh my God. The Lakers have chosen everybody from the NBA to be a part of it. What is happening now? Giannis Antetokounmpo, I can't even say his last name, is the number one player now. It's like, what is NBA?
Hey,
can you
they're
wait?
About to start here. They got
God, no.
2 weeks
Y'all next.
week.
Yeah. Come weeks. I was like, y'all next, calm down.
That's my favorite thing. Oh my God. Zach done. All right, well.
Yeah.
Yes. Shut down the podcast.
And that was episode 15.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I think we say that every week.
Possibly the last one. We do. I think we did. Yeah. We're going to hit episode 100 and be like, this have we not been canceled yet?
We're over 100 subscribers now.
Oh, yeah. We got, to everybody. Yeah. We are.
Appreciate you on every last one of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Everybody. Thank you.
Yes. Grandmas, grandpas who are listening.
Thank you.
Everybody. Students. I know my students found us, and that was the big talk this past week at rehearsal.
The school yesterday of like, I think I know who that is. I've seen that guy before. It's really weird feeling. So
So, but yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Because like I said, we were just kind of seeing
And we're
talking.
approaching
man.
150 followers on Twitter. So
Yeah, cool. I think we're flat over 200 followers on Facebook. So yeah, getting out there. Spotify's kind of blowing up a little bit. So yeah, so thank you all for the support, and like I say, keep listening. And like we want to do things that interest you guys. So if there's something you want to talk about,
Yeah, I would love to do a
you want to hear from
mailbag.
us or
We
discuss
need
with
to
us,
get
or
We need
if
some
you want to,
questions.
that'd be cool.
mhm.
Yeah, that'd be a cool episode.
Yeah.
Some Ask Us Anything episodes every now and then. Because, like I said, we are all in marching band season right now.
We're in the
Going
thick
through
of
that.
it.
We are in the thick of it. We are here. So, but if you like what you hear, please like, comment, share, subscribe. We're on all social media platforms: Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We're on Anchor.fm and Spotify.fm. So you can find us just about anywhere you want it to. So
Watch for that special
before we get
react
out here, any
episode
closing
coming up.
words,
We'll be there.
fellas?
That's right.
Yeah, that'll be coming out soon. And me and Will, we got some different perk talk stuff we're gonna hit up. So we'll probably do some of that this week as well. So lots of things coming out.
Some new special guests lined up coming in.
Yeah, we got one coming in a couple weeks. Working on some of that stuff too. So we still got some stuff coming for you to keep you guys occupied until the next big season, which is WJI.
Yeah, we got some
comes
BOA.
into play. But we got some BOA stuff happening too, so we'll
That's
talk
right.
about that too. So, well, if there's nothing else for Zach, Chris, and William, my name is Cedric. This has been episode 15 of On the Back Hash. Make sure you guys take care of
support
yourselves,
the
love one
locals.
another. Go watch a marching band show this
That's
weekend.
right.
For real.
Go
Support the kids.
Support the kids, man. They're working their butts off. And there's
Help
a lot
push
of
a prop.
good, talented groups out. Yeah, push a prop.
Everybody
buy
got
hot
props to
dogs.
be pushing.
Buy hot dogs, put some money in the spirit jars, whatever it is. Support your bands. So,
I mean, I still got a week left, but I'm just saying. Support
yeah,
them.
y'all will be doing marching band in December. So,
It's snowing.
it will be. So, all right, guys, take care.
Out.
See you guys later. And as always,
Out.
out.
Richard